NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by AutoZone, is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. We saw Robbie Gordon spin to bring out this caution. You see coming down onto the flat, broke the struts that hold that splitter up off the ground. We saw him spin. We didn't see why. That's why we have Fox 3D. Which gives us a virtual GPS guided view of what happened, and there's contact from Kenny Schrader.
But it looked like Robbie just turned down right on Kenny Schrader. I mean, Kenny was all the way at the bottom of the racetrack.
And there's a look at it in progress.
And I think when he maybe broke those struts was probably right there when he came down off the banking onto the apron, and it shoved the splitter up and broke those strut rods.
But that's what happens here. The guy that's on the outside, you think that the guy on the inside is going to give you some room, and he doesn't do it. Takes away your line.
And that's what I talked about at the top of the show. One of our keys, your spotter can be your best friend here. He's got to be on his toes nonstop.
Steve Burns.
Mike, when this race started, Kyle Busch said his car was really tight. It wouldn't turn through the corners, wouldn't roll through the center. They made a pretty big adjustment 2 rounds down on the track bar, Matt.
The biggest adjustment tool that Carl Edwards needed was a bungee cord. His shifter kept popping out of gear during that first run. They handed it through the window. The problem was it was too long. He had to wrap it around several times to Krista.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. said his car was horrible, so tight it would not turn in the center. They made left side air pressure adjustments on that stop to help free him up.
Joe Nemechek got the free pass as we get ready to race once again in Bristol. 65 laps complete.
And I would be pretty concerned if my car was tight and not turning now, because we know when this thing gets rubbered down, and we're not going to go this time, when this racetrack gets rubber on it, we saw it yesterday in the Nationwide Series race. We also saw it in practice yesterday, Dick Berggren. They get tighter as you go into a run, Dick.
Well, Kurt Busch's car is definitely tight right in the middle of a corner. He is a 5-time winner here and one of the pre-race favorites. But he had to start deep in the field, 36, because of that point swap that was done early in the year. And right now, Busch has worked his way up to 24th from 36. They've adjusted the car to try to make him faster.
Kurt and Kyle, the Busch brothers, with Ryan Newman, who changed engines and started in the back, the biggest movers of this race so far.
See Paul Menard there in that 15 car. We actually watched him yesterday in practice. He looked awfully good.
They waved off the restart due to some debris on the back straightaway that they're going to clean up. There's a look at Paul and Eric Almirola right behind him, 16th and 17th place. Here are some of your Chevy drivers to watch. Chevrolet trying to break into victory lane for the first time in 2008.
Kurt had told me that he has to drive this track really different than what he used to since they've redone it.
Yeah, after the race a year ago, in fact, Darrell was part of the demolition crew. They dug all the concrete up and put a complete new surface before we came back in August.
And it's really, really smooth. I mean, it's so smooth.
We're on 1 to go. Let's give an attaboy to Joe Nemechek's crew, because on the competition yellow, they got him out first of the cars 1 lap down. That put him in position to get the free pass, which he did. Nemechek is back on the lead lap. Here's our clear and clear to drive restart. Get clear and clear, get back to feeling like yourself again. Green flag.
You know what, Mike? We're going to work on getting old DW cranked up before the end of this 500 laps. So while we're working on him, what do you think?
Crank it up. 73 laps go on the board. Clint Boyer again running away from Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick. Dale Jarrett right now in the free pass position, one down. But here is the danger zone right here. This all stacks up from here on back.
Yeah, I was going to say the danger zone is from here all the way to the back of the field right now.
Jeff Burton with a crossover move on Casey Mears. He tried the top. That didn't work. Now Burton goes to the bottom. He gets the spot.
Yeah, this has been a battle for fifth, and it's been going ever since the restart.
Second place, Tony Stewart takes it from Jimmy Johnson. As you watch Greg Biffle, Kyle Busch try to bust their way up through smoke to second.
I just believe on the long run, the one car that Clint Boyer will have to contend with is that 20 car of Tony Stewart.
All three of Richard Childress's cars now in the top 5. And 5 of the top 6 are Chevys. Stewart's Toyota, the only other make represented in the top dozen.
And it looks like Boyer's just picking up where he left off yesterday.
Cruise control right now, Darrell.
Yeah.
16 flat, his last lap.
Yeah, what we saw in practice yesterday is on into a run. If you could run 16 O's and 16 teens, you were actually pretty good. Now here's Denny Hamlin challenging Casey Mears in the 5 car. Denny in the 11. This is a battle for 6th. When you look at Denny Hamlin in the 11, we've talked about Tony Stewart in the 20. 1 year ago, the two of those cars dominated this race. Denny Hamlin had a fuel pickup problems. Tony Stewart had a fuel cable problem. Kyle Busch won the race driving for Hendrick.
Speaking of Kyle Busch, he just moved past Greg Biffle, moving up into 8th place. As Harvick draws a bead on Johnson, this will be for 3rd.
This has not been one of Jimmy Johnson's better racetrack. I know Chad Knaus was really pleased the other night. They would have liked an opportunity to qualify, but he said, you know what, we will not turn down this #1 starting spot, which gives you the #1 pit selection.
Last year, Johnson won 4 of the 6 short track races on the circuit. The 2 he did not win, the 2 at Bristol. Matt?
Mike, if you look at Jimmy Johnson's past 5 races here, you'll understand why he felt like he already hit the lottery. Started P1 due to starting by points, has one of the best pit stalls on pit road, and then he told crew chief Chad Knaus, the car just feels so fast. It is working so well so early, which was music to Knaus's ears, because this has been one of those places where they have struggled in the past. Right now, he's just riding in form.
Thanks, Matt. Kyle Busch has climbed to 7th. Biffle up to 8th. And here's a look at Juan Pablo Montoya in the top dozen where he's been all race.
You know, I've been watching him, and he's one of the guys that really wanted an opportunity to qualify on Friday. Because of the point situation, he started in 21st. He's by far the top running Dodge right now. He's moved up to 12th. I talked to Juan this morning. He said, I'm telling you, if I can stay out of trouble, I've got a good race car for today. There's Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. We talked about him having that problem with the jack on the last pit stop, working his way back in the top 15.
And here is what the leader dreads at Bristol. There is traffic from here to Johnson City. As far as Clint Boyer is concerned, there is nothing but traffic ahead. And a lot of these drivers are really going to struggle and do anything they can here to try and stay on this lead lap.
Yeah, and even though our top 6 that they are strung out right now, Darrell just pointed out to me, this has slowed Clint Boyer down 3 to 4 tenths by catching the back of the field.
Krista.
Mike, you are so spot on. When I talked to Gil Martin, Clint Boyer's crew chief this morning, I said, Gil, you guys have such a good car. What is your biggest concern? Without hesitation, he said lap traffic. We know we're going to be up front. That is going to be our biggest dilemma all day long, and that's 500 laps of lap traffic.
Krista, it's not so much getting by the traffic. It's watching Big Orange loom in your mirror, because all this traffic has allowed Tony Stewart to close right up on Boyer, who now has Travis Kvapil between himself and Tony Stewart. Next week we're off for Easter. Enjoy Easter and be with us 2 weeks from today at Martinsville, Virginia, the paperclip shaped half mile with its unique hot dogs and its unique brand of racing.
We just pick right up where we leave off here later on this afternoon, right on to another short track.
Yeah, just start with your tempers and fenders intact. Everything will be all right.
Now this right here is a battle for 16th between Carl Edwards in the 99, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. Carl will take the position away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Coming in here, we talked about Chevrolet being shut out. Who would have ever believed 4 races into this season that Hendrick Motorsports would only have one driver in the top 12 in points? It's the guy we're riding with, Dale Earnhardt Jr.